Hello, lovely people. This is Akosia's tasty recipe. I hope you're all doing well. So, for today, I will be sharing with you how to cover and decorate a cake with fondant. Let's get started. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is to knead the fondant. I'm using DLA white fondant, and then I will be using some cornstarch to prevent the fondant from sticking. And then I also used vegetable shortening. This helped the fondant to be soft, stretchy, and then it wouldn't tear when applying to the cake. So you just add a bit of shortening to the fondant and then knead until it's soft and smooth. Then grab your rolling pin and then roll it out. Please make sure to wash your hand before you do this, and then clean your area before you put the white fondant to prevent stains. Also, if you notice any bubbles whilst rolling, grab a pin and then poke into the bubbles and then it will disappear. Once you're done, roll the fondant over your rolling pin and then it's time to cover your cake. So you grab your fondant and then you begin to roll from the back towards you, and then you use your smoother to flatten the top to prevent bubbles. Once the top is flattened, you begin to work on the body of your cake. So you gently pull down the fondant. Don't overstretch it because it can tear, and then you use your other palm to guide it to stick on the cake. Once the cake is well covered with the fondant, you use your smoother to smooth in the body of the cake, and then you cut out the excess fondant with your pizza cutter or any sharp knife. So once it's all covered, you can choose to leave it like this, or if you want to sharpen the edges, this is the technique I use in sharpening the edges. So I turn my cake upside down and then I just smear with a little bit of cornstarch, and then I use my smoother to drag down the fondant on the board. If where you're doing this is very hot, your cake can start sweating and then it becomes sticky. But what I do is, if it's sticky, I just smear with a little bit of cornstarch and then I keep on with the process. If you also notice any bubbles, don't get worried. Just grab your pin and then poke through that bubble and then it will disappear. Once you achieve the sharpness of the edges that you want, you turn the cake upside down, and then that's it. You keep on smoothing with your smoother and then poke through any bubble that may happen during the process. Once I'm done, I will set the cake aside to dry up from any excess sweating, and then I will proceed with the next layer. So with the next layer, I will be doing some marble design, and then I will be using white fondant, pink, and then dark gray. So I just added shortening to my fondant to knead again and then make it soft and stretchy so that it will not tear. And then I will be adding the pink and then the dark gray. Please also make sure to knead the pink and the dark gray fondant so that they can easily mix with the white fondant. So to achieve this marble design, I will be adding a little bit of white to the dark gray to make it a bit lighter. So you just see how I made it. And then after I achieve the light gray, I will take a part of it and then add pink. I wouldn't mix it completely, like halfway mixed, and then I would take a bit of pink and then add it to the white and then the gray fondant. Then you pull them, stretch. This time you can play with it to achieve any style, but make sure not to mix it completely. So it's halfway mixed and then you roll it out. Please keep adding cornstarch to prevent your fondant from sticking. With this marble design, it was a request of my customer, but you can go ahead and mix any other colors that you want to achieve for your marble design. Okay, so mostly what I do is after I roll it out, I turn it over because mostly the back looks more nicer. So after that, you roll it on your rolling pin, and then you bring your cake, and then you use the same technique and then cover your cake. As I said earlier, make sure to smoothen the top to prevent any bubbles, and then start to work on the body gradually. Be gentle with it because your fondant can tear when you overstretch it. Once the cake is well covered, you cut the excess fondant, and then I will be using a different technique to make the edges this time, so you keep watching. So with this technique, I will be using two smoother, one on the top and then one on the side. So you drag the top and then you push through with the side one, and then the edges will be formed. So you watch the technique as I'm doing it, and then if any bubbles happen, just grab your pin and then poke through the bubbles, and then keep doing the process. If you feel that your cake is sweating or being sticky, just smear with a little bit of cornstarch and then keep on doing the edges. Okay, so to achieve a desirable and a nice cake, you really need to have patience. It's a bit stressful, but it's worth it. So just be gentle and then keep working. I know it's hard, but you can do it. Okay, so once I'm done, I will go ahead and assemble and then decorate my cake. Okay, so because I will be doing two type cakes, you need some cake straws. But before I put the cake straws, I will use the pan I used in baking the smaller cake to create a mark on the bigger cake to guide me put the second layer on top. Okay, so once you finish with the marking, you insert your cake straw. Just measure to the level of the cake and then you cut the excess. Okay, so once I'm done inserting the straw, I will spread some royal icing on top of the holes I made, and then I will put the second layer on top. These help your cake to stick properly. Some people use ganache or buttercream. I prefer royal icing because it dries quickly, and then it helps the upper cake to stick well, and it prevents any extra movement. So once you put it, use your smoother to smoothen it and then guide it to sit on it properly. Okay, so with the tiny space that shows in between the cake, you can go ahead and seal with a little bit of royal icing. Okay, so once you seal the gap, you can go ahead and put some design if you want, or you can also leave it like that. So I'm going to put non-edible fondant lace. You can also cut some design with the fondant and then you put it anyhow you want your cake to look. So once I'm done with this, I'll go ahead and put some dryers on the white fondant. So I stick with the royal icing, then I put the dryers on the royal icing. You repeat the same step until the entire cake is covered. Okay, so after 30 minutes, I'm halfway through with the sticking of the dredges, and then I'll go ahead and put some paper flowers I made. So I put toothpick inside the paper flowers, and then I stick with the royal icing. I like working with royal icing because it dries so fast and then makes everything that you put very firm. Okay, so this cake is actually for a baby baptism, so I went ahead and then I put a customized topper for the baby, and then I will put some flowers just to add some design on the top as well, else it will be bare. Okay, so I will be adding some butterfly also just to make it more stylish and fancy because it's for a baby girl, and also it makes the cake outstanding. Okay, so once I'm done sticking the butterflies, our cake is done. This is the outcome, and I really loved it. Really loved it. Actually, the truth is I only planned for the last layer, but the top layer, it just came in mind while I was shooting this video. I'm really excited. And then the cake came out so well and then so nice. Okay, so just some tips. People really ask if you can store fondant cake in fridge. Yes, you can. What you have to do is to put your cake in the box and then wrap with cellophane or box your cake and then store it in your fridge. That is how I keep my cake. Or you can keep it in a cold room where there is aircon so that your cake will not sweat. So this is how I package my cake if they are tall. Sometimes I use tall box, but if I don't want to run the cake that much, I use this method. I put it in the box and then I use cellophane to cover the top. And then what I'm using to stick is the back-to-back scotch tape. Okay, so I'll leave you guys here and deliver my cake. If you like this video, don't forget to give me a thumbs up and then please subscribe and share. See you on my next video. Bye bye.